She'd been invisible for 3 years. That's what happens when you choose to disappear. Sophia Brennan, though that wasn't her real name anymore, worked the closing shift at Marino's, a quiet Italian restaurant tucked between a laundromat and a pawn shop on the south side of the city. The kind of place tourists never found. The kind of place where regulars paid in cash and didn't ask questions. She preferred it that way. Every night, same routine. Wipe down the tables. Stack the chairs. Count the register. Lock the back door. Walk 3 blocks to her studio apartment. Deadbolt. Chain. Sleep with one eye open. She'd gotten good at being no one. Until the night he walked in. It was 11:47. Sophia was mopping the floor near the kitchen when she heard the front door open. She didn't look up right away. Marco, the owner, sometimes forgot things. "We're closed," she called out, ringing the mop. No response. The air changed. Got heavier. She turned around. 4 men stood near the entrance. 3 of them looked like they'd been carved from the same stone. Dark suits, dead eyes, hands folded in front of them like soldiers. But the 4th man, he stood in the center, perfectly still. Tall. Mid-30s maybe. Black coat over a charcoal suit. No tie. His face was sharp, controlled. The kind of face that didn't smile unless it meant something. Dark hair pushed back. And eyes, gray, cold, calculating, that swept the room like he was cataloging every exit, every shadow, every breath. When those eyes landed on Sophia, they stopped. She felt her pulse kick. "I said we're closed." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. The man didn't move. Didn't blink. One of the others stepped forward. "Mr. Dante has business here." Dante. The name hit her like a fist to the chest. Everyone in this city knew that name. You didn't say it out loud. You didn't ask questions about it. And you definitely didn't make eye contact with anyone who carried it. Vincent Dante. The man who ran half the city from the shadows. The man even corrupt cops feared. The man whose name appeared in whispers, in back rooms, in unmarked graves. Sophia tightened her grip on the mop handle. "Marco's not here. You'll have to come back tomorrow." Vincent Dante tilted his head slightly, studying her. His expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Curiosity, maybe. Or suspicion. "You work here alone?" His voice was low, quiet. The kind of voice that didn't need to be loud to be heard. "I work the closing shift." That wasn't my question. Sophia's jaw tightened. She knew better than to lie to a man like this. "Yes. I work alone." He took one step forward. Just one. But it was enough to make her heartbeat slam against her ribs. "What's your name?" "Sophia." "Sophia what?" She hesitated. "Brennan." His eyes narrowed slightly, like he was filing the name away for later. "You always this calm when dangerous men walk into your restaurant, Sophia Brennan? You said you have business. I'm assuming it's with Marco. So I'll give you his number, and you can leave." One of the other men chuckled. Vincent didn't. He studied her for a long moment, and Sophia felt the weight of that stare like a hand around her throat. Then, without a word, he turned and walked toward the back hallway, the one that led to Marco's office. Sophia's stomach dropped. "Hey, you can't just..." Vincent stopped. Didn't turn around. Locked the front door. "What?" Now he looked back at her, and there was no warmth in his expression. Just cold authority. "Lock it. Stay in the dining room. Don't touch your phone. Don't leave. Are we clear?" It wasn't a question. Sophia swallowed hard. She wanted to argue. Wanted to run. But every instinct she'd honed over the last 3 years told her the same thing. Don't make yourself memorable. Don't make yourself a problem. So she nodded. Vincent disappeared down the hallway, his men following close behind. And Sophia stood there in the empty restaurant, alone with the sound of her own breathing. Sophia locked the door. Her hands shook as she twisted the deadbolt. She told herself it was adrenaline, fear, survival instinct. But deep down, she knew the truth. She'd spent 3 years hiding, 3 years being invisible. And in less than 5 minutes, Vincent Dante had seen her. That was dangerous. She moved back to the center of the dining room, standing near the kitchen doors where she could hear everything. The restaurant was old. The walls were thin. If something happened, she'd know. For a few minutes, there was nothing. Then voices. Low, muffled. She couldn't make out the words, but she recognized the tone. Negotiation. Pressure. Control. Vincent's voice, smooth and steady. Marco's voice shaking. Then silence. Sophia held her breath. A door opened. Footsteps. Calm, measured. No panic. No chaos. Vincent Dante walked back into the dining room, buttoning his coat. His men followed, expressionless. No blood. No bruises. Marco wasn't with them. Vincent stopped a few feet away from Sophia, watching her again with that unsettling focus. Marco will be in tomorrow, he said simply. You'll work your normal shift. Sophia frowned. Is he? He's fine. Then why? That's not your concern. Vincent took a step closer. His voice dropped. What is your concern is that you forget we were here. You don't mention this to anyone. Not Marco. Not the police. Not your friends. No one. Sophia met his eyes. I don't have friends. Something shifted in his expression. Not sympathy. Not pity. Just recognition. Like he understood what that meant. Good, he said quietly. That'll keep you alive. He turned to leave, his men already moving toward the door. But then he paused. You've been in this city a while? Sophia's pulse spiked. A few years. Where were you before? East Coast. We're on the East Coast. Her throat went dry. Does it matter? Vincent turned fully now, and for the first time, she saw something dangerous flicker across his face. Not anger. Not cruelty. Interest. It matters, he said softly. If you're lying. Sophia forced herself to stay still. Stay calm. I'm not lying. He studied her for a long, agonizing moment. Then he smiled. Just barely. A fraction of movement at the corner of his mouth. You're a terrible liar, Sophia Brennan. And then he walked out. Sophia didn't sleep that night. She sat on her couch in the dark, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the door. She'd checked the locks 6 times. Checked the windows. Checked her burner phone. No one knew where she was. No one had found her. But Vincent Dante had looked at her like he was already looking for something. And that terrified her more than anything. The next morning, Marco acted like nothing had happened. He came in at 10, humming under his breath, prepping the kitchen like it was any other Tuesday. When Sophia arrived for her shift, he barely looked up. Morning, Sophia. Can you check the storage room? I think we're low on olive oil. She stared at him. Marco. Olive oil, he repeated, not meeting her eyes. She got the message. Don't ask. Don't talk. Move on. So she did. But all day she felt it. The weight of last night hanging over her like smoke. Every time the door opened, her heart jumped. Every time someone walked past the window, she looked up. Waiting. At 8 p.m., the dinner rush ended. Sophia was wiping down the counter when the door opened. She looked up. Vincent Dante stood in the doorway, alone this time. He didn't say anything. Just walked to the corner booth, the one in the shadows, away from the windows, and sat down. Sophia's stomach twisted. Marco appeared from the kitchen, saw Vincent, and immediately turned pale. I'll take care of him. No. Vincent's voice cut through the room. Quiet. Final. She will. Marco looked at Sophia. She saw the fear in his eyes. The warning. Don't make this worse. Sophia grabbed a notepad and walked over. Vincent didn't look at the menu. He looked at her. You came back, she said, keeping her voice even. I did. Why? His eyes didn't leave hers. Sit down. I'm working. Sit. Down. It wasn't a request. Sophia glanced at Marco, who nodded quickly. She slid into the seat across from Vincent, her hands folded on the table. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Vincent leaned forward slightly, his voice low. I had someone look into you. Her blood went cold. Sophia Brennan, he continued. 29. No family. No criminal record. No college degree. You showed up in this city 3 years ago with nothing. You rent a studio apartment under a fake lease. You don't have social media. You don't have credit cards. You barely exist. Sophia's jaw tightened. So, Vincent said softly, you're running from something. Or someone. She didn't answer. He leaned back, watching her with those cold, calculating eyes. I don't care what you did. I don't care who you ran from. But if you're in my city, living in my territory, working in a restaurant I do business with, then you're my problem. I'm not a problem. Not yet. He paused. But you will be. If someone comes looking for you. Sophia's hands curled into fists under the table. No one's looking for me. Vincent smiled. It wasn't kind. Everyone thinks that, he said quietly. Until they're wrong. He stood up, dropped $200 bills on the table, and walked toward the door. But before he left, he looked back. I'll be watching you, Sophia. If you run, I'll find you. And then he was gone. Sophia didn't run. She wanted to. God, she wanted to. But she'd learned the hard way that running only worked once. After that, you left a trail. And trails got people killed. So she stayed, worked her shifts, kept her head down, avoided eye contact. But Vincent Dante didn't avoid her. He came back. Again. And again. Always alone. Always the same booth. Always watching. He never ordered food. Just coffee. Black. And he'd sit there for an hour, sometimes two, doing nothing but reading the paper or making quiet phone calls. But Sophia felt his eyes on her. Every time she turned. Every time she moved. It was suffocating. 1 week in, she finally snapped. It was late. The restaurant was empty except for Vincent in his corner booth. Sophia walked over, slammed a coffee pot down on the table harder than necessary. "What do you want from me?" Vincent looked up from his phone, completely unbothered. "Excuse me? You come here every night. You stare at me like I'm a puzzle you're trying to solve. So just tell me, what do you want?" He set his phone down slowly, his expression unreadable. "I'm having coffee." "Bullshit." His eyes darkened. Sophia knew she'd crossed a line. But she was exhausted, terrified, and sick of waiting for the other shoe to drop. "You said someone might come looking for me," she continued, her voice shaking. "So either tell me what you know, or leave me alone." For a long moment, Vincent just stared at her. Then he stood up. He was taller than she remembered. Close enough now that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "You want honesty?" he said quietly. "Yes." "Fine." He stepped closer. 3 weeks ago, a man walked into a bar on the east side. Started asking questions. Showed a photo around. A woman. Late 20s. Brown hair. Scared eyes. Said she stole something from him. Sophia's breath caught. "I don't know who he is," Vincent continued. "But I know he's not from here. And I know he's looking for someone who fits your description." Her knees felt weak. Did he find anything?" "Not yet." Vincent's voice softened, just barely. "But he will. Men like that always do." "Then what am I supposed to do?" Her voice cracked. "Run again? Hide again? I've been doing that for 3 years, and it doesn't work." "No, it doesn't." She looked up at him, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that wasn't cold. It was almost protective. "So what then?" she whispered. "You're just going to watch me until he shows up? Until I'm dead?" Vincent reached out slowly, carefully, and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. The gesture was so unexpected, so gentle, that Sophia froze. "No," he said softly. "I'm going to make sure he never gets that close." Her heart pounded. "Why?" He pulled his hand back, his expression hardening again. "Because you're in my city, my territory, and I don't let people take what's mine. I'm not yours." Vincent's jaw tightened. "You are now." He turned and walked out, leaving Sophia standing there, shaking, her mind spinning. Sophia couldn't breathe. She leaned against the counter, gripping the edge so hard her knuckles turned white. "You're mine now." The words echoed in her head like a threat, or a promise. She couldn't tell which. Marco poked his head out of the kitchen. "You okay?" "Fine." "You don't look fine." She forced a smile. "Just tired." Marco didn't look convinced, but he didn't push. He never did. Sophia finished her shift in a daze, locked up, and walked home. But when she turned the corner onto her street, she stopped. A black car was parked in front of her building. Engine off. Windows tinted. Waiting. Her first instinct was to run. But her legs wouldn't move. The back door opened. Vincent stepped out. He didn't say anything. Just looked at her, waiting. Sophia's pulse hammered. "What are you doing here?" "Get in." "No." "Sophia." I said no. Her voice shook. "I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but I'm not." "He's here." The world tilted. "What?" Vincent's expression was grim. "The man looking for you. He's in the city. He was at a bar 2 blocks from here an hour ago, showing your photo. Asking about Marinos." Sophia felt the blood drain from her face. "So I'll say it again," Vincent said quietly. "Get in the car." This time, she didn't argue. The drive was silent. Sophia sat in the back seat, staring out the window as the city blurred past. Vincent sat beside her, his phone in his hand, typing something. His driver, a broad-shouldered man with a scar across his jaw, didn't say a word. After 20 minutes, they pulled into an underground garage. Private. Secure. The kind of place that didn't show up on maps. Vincent got out first, then extended a hand towards Sophia. She ignored it and climbed out on her own. He almost smiled. Almost. "This way." He led her to an elevator, pressed a code into the keypad, and they rode up in silence. When the doors opened, Sophia stepped into the most beautiful apartment she'd ever seen. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Dark wood floors. Leather furniture. Minimalist, expensive, cold. It looked like him. "You're staying here," Vincent said, shrugging off his coat. Sophia spun around. "Excuse me? Until I figure out who this man is and what he wants, you're not going back to your apartment. You're not going to work. You're staying here, where I can keep an eye on you. You can't just." "I can. And I am." He poured himself a drink, whiskey neat, and looked at her over the rim of the glass. "You have two choices, Sophia. You trust me and stay alive. Or you walk out that door and see how long you last." Her fists clenched. "This is kidnapping. This is protection. I didn't ask for your protection." "No." His voice dropped, dangerous now. "But you need it, whether you admit it or not." They stared at each other, the tension crackling between them like a live wire. Finally, Sophia broke. She sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered. "I'm so tired." Vincent set his glass down and moved closer. He crouched in front of her, his voice low. "Then stop running." She looked up at him, tears stinging her eyes. "You don't understand. The man looking for me, he's not going to stop. He'll never stop. Then I'll make him." "How?" Vincent's jaw tightened. "By doing what I do best." Sophia's breath hitched. "You're going to kill him." He didn't deny it. She should have been horrified. Should have run. But instead, she felt something else. Relief. Sophia didn't sleep that night. She lay in the guest bedroom, sleek, impersonal, nothing like her cramped studio, and stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She'd spent 3 years running from ghosts. And now she was hiding in the home of the most dangerous man in the city. What am I doing? Around 3 a.m., she gave up on sleep and padded into the kitchen for water. The apartment was dark except for the glow of the city lights through the windows. She thought she was alone. Then she saw him. Vincent stood by the window, still dressed, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He wasn't looking at the city. He was looking at nothing, lost in thought. Sophia almost turned back, but something stopped her. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was exhaustion. Or maybe it was the fact that, for the first time, he looked human. "Can't sleep either?" she said quietly. Vincent turned, unsurprised, like he'd known she was there all along. "Sleep's a luxury in my line of work." She moved closer, leaning against the kitchen counter. "How long have you been doing this?" "Doing what?" "Running the city. Being, whoever you are." He took a slow sip of his drink. "Long enough to know when someone's hiding something." Sophia's stomach tightened. "I'm not." "Yes, you are." He set his glass down and turned to face her fully. "And I'm done pretending I don't care why." The room felt smaller suddenly. "Tell me," Vincent said softly. "Who is he?" "The man looking for you." Sophia's throat closed up. "Sophia." His voice was firmer now. "If I'm going to protect you, I need to know what I'm protecting you from." She wanted to lie. Wanted to deflect. But she was so damn tired of carrying it alone. "His name is Marcus," she whispered. "Marcus Hale." Vincent's eyes narrowed. "The name means something to you." "He was my husband." The words hung in the air like a confession. Vincent didn't react. Didn't move. Just waited. Sophia wrapped her arms around herself, her voice shaking. "We got married when I was 23. I thought he was perfect. Charming. Successful. Protective. But after a year, things changed. He got possessive. Controlling. He tracked my phone. Monitored my emails. Told me who I could see, where I could go." Her voice cracked. "And when I tried to leave, he said he'd kill me." Vincent's jaw tightened. "So I ran," Sophia continued. "In the middle of the night. Took nothing but a bag and some cash. Changed my name. Changed everything. I thought I was free. But he found you." She nodded. 3 months ago I saw him. Across the street from the restaurant. Just standing there watching. I don't know if he saw me. But I knew. I knew it was only a matter of time." Vincent was silent for a long moment. Then he stepped closer, and Sophia's breath caught. "He's not going to touch you," Vincent said quietly. "I promise you that." "You can't promise that." I don't care who he is." Vincent's voice was cold, lethal. "He comes near you again, he's a dead man." Sophia searched his face, looking for the lie. The angle. The manipulation. But all she saw was conviction. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you care?" Vincent reached out slowly, his hand hovering near her face. Then, so gently it made her chest ache, he touched her cheek. "Because I know what it's like," he said softly, to be trapped by someone who's supposed to love you. Sophia's heart stopped. My father, Vincent continued, his voice distant now, was a great man. Powerful. Respected. And he used that power to control everything. Everyone. Including me. I spent 20 years under his thumb, doing what he wanted, becoming what he needed. And when I finally broke free, he pulled his hand back, his expression hardening. I swore I'd never let anyone control me again. And I'd never let anyone hurt someone who couldn't fight back. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes. I'm not your responsibility. Maybe not. Vincent's gaze held hers. But you're under my protection now. And that means something. For the first time in 3 years, Sophia felt something crack open inside her chest. Marcus Hale was a patient man. He'd learned patience in his years as a federal prosecutor. Learned how to wait, how to watch, how to let his prey think they were safe before he struck. And Sophia, his Sophia, had made him wait long enough. He sat in a rental car across from Marino's, watching the darkened windows. It was past midnight. The restaurant was closed. Empty. But he knew she'd been here. He could feel it. Marcus pulled out his phone and scrolled through the photos he'd collected. Grainy security footage. A glimpse of a woman in a server's uniform. Brown hair pulled back. Head down. It was her. He'd found her. A slow smile spread across his face. You can't hide forever, sweetheart, he murmured. He started the engine and pulled away, already planning his next move. Meanwhile, in Vincent's apartment, Sophia woke to the smell of coffee. She sat up, disoriented. The room was still dark, but light filtered in from the hallway. She pulled on the oversized shirt Vincent had left for her and stepped into the kitchen. Vincent was already dressed, charcoal suit, no tie, standing at the counter with his phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what it takes, he said coldly. Find him. And when you do, bring him to me. Alive. He hung up and turned, catching sight of Sophia. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Vincent gestured to the coffee pot. You drink it black? With cream. He poured her a cup, added cream without asking how much, and handed it to her. She took it, surprised. Thank you. You're welcome. They stood there in the quiet, sipping coffee like this was normal. Like she wasn't hiding from a violent ex-husband. Like he wasn't a crime lord planning a murder. It should have felt wrong. But it didn't. My men are tracking him, Vincent said after a moment. Marcus. He's staying at a motel on the west side. He's been asking questions, but he doesn't know where you are yet. Sophia's grip tightened on her mug. How long until he figures it out? Not long. Vincent set his cup down, his expression serious. Which is why we're moving you. Where? Somewhere safer. Somewhere he'll never think to look. And where's that? Vincent's eyes held hers. With me. The safe house wasn't what Sophia expected. She'd imagined something cold. Industrial. Hidden. Instead, Vincent brought her to a house in the countryside, an hour outside the city, tucked into the woods, surrounded by trees and silence. It was beautiful. You own this? Sophia asked as they stepped inside. I own a lot of things. Vincent set her bag down by the door. But this place is off the books. No one knows about it except me and 2 of my most trusted men. The house was warm. Lived in almost. A stone fireplace. Leather furniture. Bookshelves lined with actual books. It felt like a home. You'll stay here until this is over, Vincent said, locking the door behind them. There's food in the kitchen. Clothes in the bedroom. Everything you need. Sophia turned to him. And you? I'll be here too. Her heart skipped. What? Vincent shrugged off his coat. You think I'd leave you here alone? She didn't know what to say. Marcus is escalating, Vincent continued. He went to your apartment this morning. Broke the lock. Searched the place. My men scared him off, but he's getting desperate. Which means he's getting dangerous. Sophia felt her stomach twist. He was in my apartment? Yes. Did he take anything? Vincent's jaw tightened. Your photo. From the nightstand. The room spun. Sophia sank onto the couch, her hands shaking. He's not going to stop. No. Vincent crouched in front of her, his voice steady. But neither am I. She looked up at him, and for the first time, she saw something in his eyes that terrified her more than Marcus ever had. Possession. Not in a cruel way. Not in a controlling way. But in a way that said, I will burn the world down before I let anyone hurt you. You don't even know me, Sophia whispered. Vincent reached out and took her hand. His grip was firm. Warm. I know enough. They spent the next 3 days in a strange kind of limbo. Vincent worked from the house, Phone calls, encrypted messages, quiet conversations in Italian that Sofia couldn't understand. She tried to stay out of his way, read books from his shelves, cooked simple meals, stared out the window at the trees. But every night, they ended up in the same place, sitting by the fireplace, talking. Small things at first, favorite foods, childhood memories, books they'd loved, then deeper things. Why did you stay with him so long? Vincent asked one night. Sofia stared into the fire. I thought I could fix it. Fix him. Fix us. I thought if I just tried harder, loved him better, it would go back to the way it was. And when did you realize it wouldn't? She swallowed hard. The night he put his hands around my throat. Vincent's expression darkened. I couldn't breathe, Sofia continued quietly. And I remember thinking, this is it. This is how I die. But then he let go. And he cried. And he said he was sorry. That he loved me. That he'd never do it again. But he did. Yes. Her voice broke. He did. Vincent was silent for a long moment. Then he spoke, his voice low. My father used to say that love was control. That if you didn't own the people around you, they'd destroy you. He paused. I believed him for a long time. And now, he looked at her. Now I think love is the one thing you can't control. And maybe that's the point. Sofia's breath caught. They sat there in the firelight, something unspoken settling between them. And for the first time in 3 years, Sofia didn't feel alone. It happened on the 4th night. Sofia woke to the sound of footsteps. She bolted upright, heart pounding, and grabbed the knife Vincent had left on her nightstand. He found us. She crept to the bedroom door, listening. Voices. Low. Urgent. She recognized one of them. Vincent. Sofia eased the door open and slipped into the hallway. Vincent stood in the living room with 2 of his men, the ones who'd been guarding the perimeter. They were speaking in hushed tones, but Sofia caught enough. Spotted him 2 miles out. How the hell did he find? Doesn't matter. Lock it down. Now. Vincent's head snapped up. He saw Sofia standing there, pale and shaking. Get back in the room, he said sharply. No. Sofia. He's here, isn't he? Her voice shook. Marcus. He found us. Vincent's jaw tightened. He turned to his men. Perimeter. Go. They disappeared without a word. Then Vincent crossed the room and took Sofia by the shoulders. Listen to me. I need you to stay calm. How am I supposed to? Because panicking will get you killed. His voice was firm, but not cruel. I have men outside. I have weapons. I have every advantage. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Sofia searched his eyes. Then she nodded. Good. He released her and moved to the window, pulling back the curtain just enough to see outside. Nothing but darkness and trees. But Sofia felt it. The danger. The weight of it pressing down on the house like a storm. What do we do? She whispered. Vincent didn't answer right away. He was calculating. Planning. Then he turned back to her. If I tell you to run, you run. Understand? Vincent. Understand? She swallowed hard. Yes. He nodded. Then, slowly, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a handgun. He checked the chamber, clicked the safety off, and held it out to her. Do you know how to use this? Sofia stared at the gun. I know. Not really. Point. Squeeze. Don't hesitate. His eyes bored into hers. If he gets past me, you shoot him. Center mass. You keep shooting until he stops moving. Her hands trembled as she took the gun. It was heavier than she expected. I don't know if I can. You can. Vincent's voice softened just barely. Because you're stronger than you think. A sound outside. A branch snapping. Vincent's entire body tensed. He moved to the door, silent as a shadow, and peered through the peephole. Then he swore under his breath. He's alone. Sofia's heart stopped. What? Marcus. He's alone. No backup. No weapons that I can see. Vincent's jaw clenched. He's either stupid or desperate. Or both, Sofia whispered. A knock at the door. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Sofia felt her blood turn to ice. Sofia. Marcus's voice called through the door. Calm. Friendly. Like nothing was wrong. I know you're in there, sweetheart. I just want to talk. Vincent looked at Sofia. She shook her head, terror written across her face. Open the door, Sofia. Please. I'm not angry. I miss you. Vincent moved closer to Sofia, his voice barely a whisper. Stay behind me. What are you doing? Ending this. He unlocked the door. And opened it. Marcus Hale stood on the porch, hands in his pockets, a sad smile on his face. He looked exactly the way Sophia remembered. Handsome, well-dressed, non-threatening, but she saw it now. The coldness in his eyes, the control behind the smile. "Sophia," Marcus said softly. "There you are." Then his eyes shifted to Vincent, and his expression flickered. Surprise, calculation, amusement. "And you must be the reason she's been so hard to find." Marcus's smile widened. "I have to say, I'm impressed. Moving her around, hiding her. You've made this much more difficult than it needed to be." Vincent didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at Marcus with those cold, dead eyes that promised violence. Marcus took a step forward. Vincent's hand moved to his waistband, where Sophia knew he kept another gun. "I wouldn't," Marcus said, his voice still pleasant. "I have 3 men in the woods, armed, watching. If anything happens to me, they'll burn this place to the ground with both of you inside." Sophia's stomach dropped. Vincent's expression didn't change. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Marcus tilted his head. "You want to test that theory?" Silence stretched between them like a blade. Then Marcus's eyes found Sophia again, and his expression softened into something that made her skin crawl. "Come home, Sophia. Please. I forgive you. For everything. The running. The hiding. The lies. I just want my wife back." "I'm not your wife anymore," Sophia said, her voice shaking but clear. Marcus's smile faltered. "Of course you are. We never divorced. Because you wouldn't sign the papers. Because I love you." His voice rose slightly, the mask slipping. "Because you're mine, Sophia. You always have been. And I'm not leaving here without you." Vincent took a step forward, his presence radiating danger. "Yes, you are." Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. "And who are you to tell me what to do? Some local thug who thinks he runs this town? I'm a federal prosecutor. I have resources you can't even imagine. I have connections. Power. If I want you dead, you're dead. Then why haven't you killed me yet?" Vincent's voice was quiet, lethal. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Because you're not a federal prosecutor anymore," Vincent continued. "You were disbarred 6 months ago for evidence tampering. You've been under investigation for domestic violence. Your career is over. Your reputation is destroyed. And you're so desperate to have control over something that you've spent 3 years hunting a woman who wants nothing to do with you." Sophia's eyes widened. She hadn't known any of that. Marcus's face went red. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know everything about you, Marcus." Vincent pulled out his phone and held it up. On the screen was a file. Photos. Documents. Police reports. "I know about the restraining order from your ex-girlfriend before Sophia. I know about the assault charge that got buried. I know about the therapist who reported you for threatening behavior." Marcus's hands clenched into fists. "I know," Vincent said quietly, "that you're not a man in love. You're a predator who lost his prey. And you can't handle it." For a moment, Sophia thought Marcus would lunge at Vincent. But then he turned to her, and his expression shifted into something pleading. "Pathetic. Sophia, please. Don't believe him. He's manipulating you. That's what men like him do. They isolate you, control you, make you dependent on them." His voice cracked. "I'm trying to save you." Sophia felt something snap inside her chest. 3 years of fear. 3 years of running. 3 years of looking over her shoulder. And suddenly she was done. "You want to save me?" Her voice was steady now. Strong. "You almost killed me, Marcus. Multiple times. You choked me. You locked me in rooms. You told me I was worthless. That I'd never survive without you. I was trying to protect you. You were trying to own me." Tears streamed down her face, but her voice didn't waver. "And I was so scared of you for so long that I forgot how to be a person. How to exist. But I'm not scared anymore." She raised the gun Vincent had given her, her hands steady. Marcus's eyes widened. "Sophia, don't. Get off this property," she said quietly. "And if you ever come near me again, I will kill you myself." For the first time, Marcus looked genuinely afraid. He took a step back, then another. "You're making a mistake," he said, his voice shaking now. "You think he's different? You think he won't hurt you? He's a criminal, Sophia. A killer. He'll destroy you worse than I ever." Vincent moved so fast Sophia almost didn't see it. One moment he was standing beside her. The next, he had Marcus by the throat, slammed against the porch railing. "I'm going to say this once," Vincent said, his voice like ice. "You're going to leave. You're going to go back to whatever hole you crawled out of. And you're never going to speak her name again. Because if I hear that you've so much as looked in her direction, I won't just kill you. I'll make you disappear. Slowly. Painfully. In ways that will make you beg for death. He released Marcus, who stumbled backward, gasping. Now get the fuck off my property. Marcus straightened his jacket, trying to salvage some dignity. But his hands were shaking. He looked at Sophia one last time. This isn't over. Yes, Sophia said quietly. It is. Marcus turned and disappeared into the darkness. Vincent's men emerged from the woods moments later. There's no one out there, one of them reported. He was alone. Vincent nodded, unsurprised. Follow him. Make sure he leaves the state. And if he doesn't, he didn't need to finish the sentence. The men disappeared. Vincent turned to Sophia, who was still holding the gun, still shaking. Gently, he took it from her hands and clicked the safety on. You did good, he said softly. Sophia looked up at him, tears streaming down her face. I thought I'd feel different. Relieved. Free. But I just feel empty. She nodded. Vincent pulled her into his arms, and Sophia collapsed against his chest, sobbing. He held her in the doorway, one hand on the back of her head, the other wrapped around her waist. Protecting her even now. It's over, he murmured. It's over. And for the first time in 3 years, Sophia believed it. Sophia didn't sleep. She sat on the couch by the fireplace, wrapped in a blanket, staring at the flames. Vincent sat beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched, but he didn't say anything. He just stayed. Around 4 a.m., Sophia finally spoke. Did you mean it? What you said to him? Vincent didn't ask what she was referring to. Yes. You'd really kill him? Without hesitation. Sophia turned to look at him. His profile was sharp in the firelight, his expression unreadable. Doesn't that bother you? She asked quietly. Knowing you could take someone's life that easily? Vincent was silent for a moment. Then he looked at her. I've killed a lot of people, Sophia. Some deserved it. Some probably didn't. But I stopped losing sleep over it a long time ago. He paused. The only thing that bothers me now is the thought of someone hurting people who can't defend themselves. And that's what I am to you. Someone who can't defend herself. No. His voice softened. You're someone who shouldn't have to. Sophia felt something crack open inside her chest. Again. She'd spent 3 years believing she had to be strong alone. Had to survive alone. But sitting here, next to this dangerous, complicated man who'd quite literally threatened murder on her behalf, she didn't feel alone anymore. Vincent, she whispered. What are we doing? He knew what she was asking. I don't know, he admitted. But I'm not ready to stop. Sophia's breath caught. Slowly, carefully, she reached out and took his hand. Vincent looked down at their joined hands, and for a moment he just stared. Like he'd forgotten what it felt like to be touched with kindness. With trust. Then his fingers curled around hers, holding on. They sat like that until sunrise. 3 days passed. Vincent's men confirmed that Marcus had left the state. Bought a one-way ticket to California. He was gone. But Vincent didn't let his guard down. Men like that don't give up, he said. They just regroup. So Sophia stayed at the safe house. And Vincent stayed with her. They fell into a routine. Coffee in the morning. Vincent working from the dining table. Phone calls in Italian and English, while Sophia read or cooked. Dinner together. Conversations by the fire. It felt domestic. Normal. It felt dangerous. One night, Sophia was making pasta, Vincent's grandmother's recipe, which he'd taught her with surprising patience, when he came up behind her. You're adding too much salt, he said. I'm following your instructions. No, you're improvising. Sophia smiled. Maybe your grandmother's recipe needs improvement. Vincent's hand covered hers on the wooden spoon, guiding it. Careful. That's blasphemy in my family. They were close now. Too close. Sophia could feel the heat of his body behind her. Could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive. She turned her head slightly, and found him already looking at her. The air shifted. Sophia, Vincent said quietly. If you don't want this, tell me now. Her heart pounded. Want what? Me. The word hung between them like a confession. Sophia should have said no. Should have stepped away. This was her protector. Her savior. The man who'd quite literally saved her life. Getting involved with him was complicated. Dangerous. Stupid. But when she looked into his eyes, she didn't see a criminal. Didn't see a killer. She saw a man who'd chosen to care when he didn't have to. I don't know what I want, she admitted. I'm still figuring out who I am without fear. Without Marcus. Without all of it. Vincent nodded slowly. Then we wait. He stepped back, giving her space. But as he walked away, Sophia caught his wrist. He stopped. "But," she said quietly, "I know I don't want you to leave." Vincent turned back to her, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw something vulnerable in his expression. Hope. "Then I won't," he said simply. It came at 2 a.m. Vincent's phone buzzed on the nightstand. He grabbed it immediately, years of instinct kicking in. Sophia stirred in the guest room across the hall, but didn't wake. Vincent answered. "Talk. We have a problem." It was Luca, one of his most trusted men. Marcus didn't go to California. Vincent's blood went cold. "Explain." "He bought the ticket, got on the plane, but he never got off in San Francisco. We just got footage from a gas station outside the city. He's back, and he's not alone." Vincent stood, already moving. "How many?" "4, maybe 5. All armed. They hit your apartment downtown an hour ago looking for her." "Casualties?" "2 of our guys wounded. Nothing fatal. But boss, they're escalating. They're coming for her." Vincent's jaw tightened. "Then we end this. Tonight." He hung up and moved to Sophia's room. She was asleep, curled under the blankets, peaceful for the first time in years. He almost didn't want to wake her. But he had to. "Sophia." He touched her shoulder gently. "Wake up." Her eyes flew open, immediately alert. "What's wrong?" "Marcus is back. And he brought help." She sat up, fear flooding her face. "How?" "I don't know. But we're not staying here." He handed her clothes. "Get dressed. We leave in 5 minutes." Sophia didn't argue. She was learning. They drove through the night, Vincent's hands steady on the wheel, his mind calculating every angle. Sophia sat in the passenger seat, silent, her fingers twisted together. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "Somewhere he'll never think to look." "Where?" Vincent glanced at her. "The city. My territory. Where I have every advantage." "That's where he'll expect." "Exactly." Vincent's voice was calm. "He thinks I'll keep you hidden. Keep you running. But I'm done playing defense." Sophia's eyes widened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we draw him out. We make him come to us. And when he does," his expression hardened. "We finish it." "That's insane." "Probably. You could die." Vincent looked at her. Really looked at her. "So could you. And I'm not letting that happen." Sophia felt tears sting her eyes. "Why are you doing this? You barely know me." "I know enough." "That's not an answer." Vincent pulled the car over. They were on a dark stretch of highway, nothing but trees and stars. He turned to face her fully. "When I was 16, he said quietly, "I watched my father beat my mother so badly she couldn't walk for a week. And I did nothing. Because I was afraid. Because I was weak. Because I thought that's just how the world worked." Sophia's breath caught. When she finally left him, he had her killed. Made it look like an accident. Vincent's voice was hollow. "I was 19. I'd just taken over part of his operation. And I realized I'd become just like him. Cold. Cruel. Empty." He paused. "So I made a choice. I'd never be that man. I'd never let anyone hurt someone who couldn't fight back. Not on my watch. Not in my city." He reached out and cupped Sophia's face gently. "You remind me of her. My mother. Strong. Stubborn. Refusing to give up even when the world tried to break you." A tear slipped down Sophia's cheek. "Vincent." "So no," he continued. "I don't barely know you. I know exactly who you are. And I know I'd rather die than let him take you." Sophia leaned forward and kissed him. It wasn't planned. Wasn't calculated. It just was. Vincent froze for half a second. Then his hand moved to the back of her neck, pulling her closer, kissing her back with a desperation that stole her breath. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Vincent rested his forehead against hers. "We can't do this," he whispered. "Not now. Not like this. I know. When this is over. I know." But they stayed like that for a moment longer, holding on to each other, holding on to hope. Then Vincent pulled back, started the car, and drove toward the city. Toward the end. Vincent's plan was simple. Leak Sophia's location. Let Marcus come to them. And eliminate him permanently. But Sophia hated it. "You're using me as bait," she said as they entered Vincent's downtown penthouse. The one Marcus had already searched. The one he knew about. "Yes," Vincent said simply. "And if something goes wrong, it won't." "Vincent." He turned to her, his expression serious. "I have 20 men stationed around this building. Snipers on 3 rooftops. Security footage on every entrance. Marcus and his people won't get within 50 feet of you before we know about it. And if they do? Vincent pulled her close, his voice dropping. Then I kill them myself. Sophia wanted to argue, wanted to find another way, but she'd been running for 3 years. And she was tired. Okay, she whispered. Let's end this. They waited. Vincent made the call himself. A carefully placed tip to one of Marcus's known associates. A mention of an address. A time. Now it was just a matter of patience. Sophia paced the penthouse, unable to sit still. Vincent watched her from the couch, calm and controlled, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. The way his hand stayed near his gun. What if he doesn't come? She asked. He'll come. How do you know? Vincent's jaw tightened. Because men like him always do. They can't help themselves. Hours passed. Midnight. 1 a.m. 2. Sophia was starting to think Vincent was wrong. And then his phone buzzed. He answered. Listened. His expression didn't change. But when he hung up, his eyes met Sophia's. They're here. Her heart stopped. Vincent stood, checked his gun, and moved to the window. Stay away from the glass. Don't move until I tell you. Where are you going? To finish this. Vincent. He crossed the room in 2 strides and kissed her. Hard. Desperate. Like it might be the last time. Then he pulled back. Trust me. And he was gone. Sophia stood in the center of the penthouse, alone, her heart hammering. She could hear voices. Footsteps. Muffled shouts. Then gunfire. She dropped to the floor, covering her head. More shots. Glass shattering. Men yelling. Then silence. Terrible, suffocating silence. Sophia didn't move. Didn't breathe. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Coming closer. The penthouse door opened. Sophia's hands shook as she reached for the gun Vincent had left her. But when she looked up, it wasn't Vincent standing there. It was Marcus. Blood streaked across his face. His shirt torn. His eyes wild. And he was smiling. Hello, sweetheart, he said softly. Miss me? Sophia raised the gun, her hands shaking. Stay back. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. You're not going to shoot me. Yes, I am. No, you're not. Because you're not a killer, Sophia. You're a victim. That's all you've ever been. That's all you'll ever be. He took a step forward. Sophia pulled the trigger. The shot went wide, slamming into the wall beside Marcus's head. He didn't even flinch. See? He spread his arms. You can't do it. You don't have it in you. Where's Vincent? Her voice shook. Your criminal boyfriend? Dead. Or close enough. Marcus took another step. His men too. Turns out, when you're a federal prosecutor, even a disbarred one, you make friends. Friends with resources. Friends with guns. Friends who owe you favors. Sophia's stomach dropped. You're lying. Am I? Marcus's smile widened. Why don't you go look? I'll wait. She couldn't. Wouldn't. Because if she took her eyes off Marcus for even a second, he'd be on her. You can't run anymore, Sophia, Marcus continued, his voice soft now. Almost gentle. There's nowhere left to go. No one left to save you. It's just you and me. Like it always should have been. He was close now. Too close. Sophia backed up until she hit the window. Nowhere left to go. Come home, Marcus whispered. Please. I'll forgive everything. We'll start over. I promise I'll be better. You'll never be better, Sophia said, her voice steady now. Clear. Because you don't think you're broken. You think I am. You think the world is. But the truth is, Marcus, you're just a scared little man who can't handle the fact that someone said no. Marcus's expression twisted. You bitch. He lunged. Sophia pulled the trigger again. This time she didn't miss. The bullet hit Marcus in the shoulder, spinning him around. He stumbled, clutching the wound, blood seeping through his fingers. But he didn't go down. He turned back to her, rage burning in his eyes. You shot me. Yes. You actually shot me. And I'll do it again. She raised the gun. But before she could fire, the door slammed open. Vincent burst in, blood on his shirt, his gun raised. His eyes found Marcus. Then Sophia. Get away from her, Vincent said, his voice deadly calm. Marcus laughed, a wet, horrible sound. Or what? You'll kill me? You're too late. She already did. Vincent's gaze flicked to the blood spreading across Marcus's shoulder. Then back to Sophia. She was shaking. Pale. But alive. Sophia, Vincent said quietly. Go to the bedroom. Lock the door. Don't come out until I tell you. Vincent. Now. She hesitated. Then she moved, stepping around Marcus, never taking her eyes off him. When she reached Vincent, he caught her hand for just a second. Squeezed. Then he let go. Sophia disappeared into the bedroom. Vincent turned back to Marcus. "You made a mistake coming here," Vincent said. Marcus clutched his bleeding shoulder, his face twisted in pain and fury. "I should have killed you first." "Yes," Vincent agreed. "You should have." He raised his gun. Marcus's eyes widened. Wait, we can make a deal." "No," Vincent said simply. "We can't." And he pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the penthouse. Then silence. Vincent stood over Marcus's body for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he turned and walked to the bedroom door. "Sophia, it's over. You can come out." The door opened slowly. Sophia stepped out, her face pale, her eyes wide. She saw Marcus's body, saw the blood, and she didn't cry, didn't scream. She just walked straight to Vincent and collapsed into his arms. He held her tight, one hand on the back of her head, the other wrapped around her waist. "It's over," he murmured. "It's really over." Sophia buried her face in his chest and finally, let herself break. The police came. Vincent's lawyers came. Everything was handled quietly, efficiently. Self-defense, home invasion, a federal prosecutor with a history of violence and stalking, killed while attempting to harm an innocent woman. The story wrote itself. Sophia gave her statement in a daze, showed them the restraining order she'd filed years ago, the hospital records from the night Marcus had choked her, the police reports that had been ignored. The detective, a tired-looking woman in her 50s, looked at Sophia with something like pity. "You're safe now," she said. "He can't hurt you anymore." Sophia nodded, but she didn't feel safe. She felt numb. 3 days later, Sophia stood in Vincent's penthouse, staring out at the city. Everything had been cleaned. The blood, the glass, the evidence of violence. It was like it never happened. Except it did. And Sophia couldn't stop seeing Marcus's face. The rage, the disbelief, the moment the light left his eyes. "You didn't pull the trigger," Vincent said quietly from behind her. Sophia turned. She hadn't heard him come in. "I shot him," she said. "You defended yourself." "I killed him." Vincent moved closer. "Don't carry that weight. It's mine." "How do you do it?" Sophia whispered. "How do you live with it?" Vincent was silent for a moment. "I tell myself I'm making the world safer, protecting people who can't protect themselves, that the people I kill are monsters who deserve it." He paused. "But the truth? I don't know if that's enough. I just know it's all I have." Sophia looked at him, really looked at him. This man who'd saved her life, who'd risked everything for her, who'd killed for her. "What happens now?" she asked. Vincent stepped closer, until there was almost no space between them. "That depends on you." "On me?" "You're free now, Sophia. Really free. You can go anywhere. Be anyone. Start over completely." His voice softened. "Without me." Sophia's heart clenched. "Is that what you want?" she asked. "For me to leave?" "No." The word came out raw, honest. "But I'm not going to trap you. You've spent 3 years running from one cage. I won't build you another." Sophia reached up and touched his face. "What if I don't want to run anymore?" Vincent's eyes searched hers. "Then what do you want?" "I want." She took a shaky breath. "I want to stop being afraid. I want to stop looking over my shoulder. I want to figure out who I am when I'm not just surviving." "You can do all of that." "I know." She smiled slightly. "But I want to do it here. With you." Vincent's expression cracked. "Just for a moment. Just enough." "You don't know what you're asking," he said quietly. "My life, it's dangerous. Complicated. There will always be threats. Always be risks. I know. People will come after me. After you. I know." "Sophia." She kissed him. Soft at first. Then deeper. Vincent's hands came up to frame her face, and he kissed her back like she was the only real thing in his world. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Sophia rested her forehead against his. "I'm not asking for perfect," she whispered. "I'm not asking for safe. I'm just asking for real." Vincent closed his eyes. "I can give you real. Then that's enough." Sophia stood in the doorway of the new restaurant. Brennan's. Her restaurant. Her name. Her dream. Vincent had bought the building 3 months ago. Renovated it. Hired the best contractors. Let her design every detail. "It's a legitimate business," he'd said when she protested. "Completely legal. Your name on the deed. Your choice how to run it." She'd cried. Now opening night, she stood in the dining room, warm lights, exposed brick, wooden tables, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. You ready? Vincent appeared beside her, looking impossibly handsome in a dark suit. Terrified, Sophia admitted. Good. That means you care. He took her hand. You're going to be amazing. The doors opened. People flooded in. Reservations. Walk-ins. Friends Vincent had quietly encouraged to come. Sophia moved through the crowd, greeting guests, checking on tables, making sure everything was perfect. And it was. Not perfect. The kitchen was chaotic. One of the servers dropped a tray. The espresso machine broke halfway through the night. But it was real. It was hers. And when she caught Vincent's eye from across the room, saw him watching her with that quiet pride, she felt something shift inside her chest. This is what healing looks like. Later that night, after the last guest left and the staff went home, Sophia and Vincent sat in the empty restaurant, exhausted. I can't believe we did it, Sophia said, kicking off her heels. You did it, Vincent corrected. I just wrote some checks. She laughed. You did more than that. He smiled. A real smile. The kind she didn't see often but treasured when she did. So, Vincent said, what's next? What do you mean? You've built the restaurant. You're not hiding anymore. You're Sophia Brennan, chef, business owner, woman who shot a man in self-defense and lived to tell about it. He leaned forward. What do you want now? Sophia thought about it. 6 months ago, she would have said safety, freedom, peace. But now, I want more, she said quietly. More what? More of this. More life. More moments where I'm not just surviving, but actually living. She looked at him. More of you. Vincent's expression softened. You have me. Do I? Sophia reached across the table and took his hand. Because we've been doing this dance for 6 months. Living together. Building a life together. But you've never said what this is. What we are. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood up, walked around the table, and knelt in front of her. Sophia's breath caught. I'm not good at this, Vincent said quietly. The emotional stuff? The words. I've spent most of my life keeping people at arm's length because it's safer. Easier. Vincent. But you. He shook his head. You made me remember what it's like to care about something more than power or control or survival. You made me remember what it's like to be human. Tears pricked Sophia's eyes. So if you're asking what we are, Vincent continued, the answer is, you're the person I choose. Every day. No matter what. And if you'll let me, I'd like to keep choosing you. For as long as you'll have me. Sophia slid off the chair and into his arms, kissing him through her tears. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. Vincent held her tight, his face buried in her hair. And for the first time in both their lives, they felt something neither had expected. Home. Life settled into a rhythm. Sophia ran her restaurant. Vincent ran his empire. They learned each other. The small things. The important things. How Vincent liked his coffee. How Sophia needed silence in the morning. How they both had nightmares sometimes, and the only thing that helped was holding each other in the dark. It wasn't perfect. There were still dangers. Still threats. Vincent's world didn't just disappear because he'd fallen in love. But they navigated it together. Until the knock came. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Sophia was prepping for dinner service when Vincent's phone rang. She saw his expression change. Watched the warmth drain from his face, replaced by cold calculation. When? He said into the phone. A pause. How many? Another pause. Lock it down. I'm on my way. He hung up and turned to Sophia. I have to go, he said. What's wrong? Nothing you need to worry about. Vincent. Sophia. His voice was firm. I'll handle it. Stay here. Don't leave the restaurant until I come back. You're scaring me. He crossed the room and cupped her face gently. I'm sorry, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She wanted to argue. Wanted to demand answers. But she saw the fear behind his eyes. Not for himself. For her. Okay, she whispered. He kissed her forehead. I love you. The words stopped her cold. He'd never said them before. Vincent. But he was already gone. Hours passed. Sophia tried to focus on work. Tried to stay calm. But every time the door opened, her heart jumped. At 8 p.m., one of Vincent's men, Luca, walked into the restaurant. His expression was grim. We need to go, he said. Sophia's stomach dropped. Where's Vincent? In trouble. Come on. She didn't ask questions. Just grabbed her coat, and followed him to the car. They drove in silence through the city, deeper and deeper into territory Sophia didn't recognize. Finally, they pulled up to an abandoned warehouse. "Stay in the car," Luca said. "No. Sophia. If he's in there, I'm going in." Luca looked like he wanted to argue, but he just sighed and handed her a gun. "Safety's off. Don't shoot me." They moved through the warehouse, silent and cautious. Then Sophia heard voices, and Vincent's was one of them. She followed the sound to a large room in the back. What she saw made her blood run cold. Vincent was on his knees, hands bound behind his back, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. 3 men stood around him, guns drawn. And sitting in a chair in front of him, looking far too pleased with himself, was a man Sophia didn't recognize. He was older, 50s maybe, expensive suit, cold eyes. "You made quite a mess of my operation, Vincent," the man said casually. "Killed 4 of my men, stole 3 shipments, and worst of all, you made me look weak." Vincent's jaw was set, his expression defiant. "Then you shouldn't have come into my territory, Marcos." Marcos smiled. "Your territory? You." Marcos smiled. "Your territory? You think this city belongs to you? You're a child playing at power. Your father built this empire, and you've been coasting on his name ever since." Vincent's eyes flashed. "My father was a tyrant who ruled through fear. I rule through respect." "Respect?" Marcos laughed. "Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm sitting, you look like a man who's gone soft. Word is you've got a woman now. A little pet project that's made you weak." Vincent's expression didn't change, but Sophia saw his hands clench behind his back. Marcos leaned forward. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign over half your operations to me. The docks, the east side, the trade routes, everything. And in exchange, I let you live." "No," Vincent said simply. Marcos's smile faded. "Then you die. And I take it anyway." He raised his gun. Sophia didn't think, didn't plan. She just stepped out of the shadows, her own gun raised. "Let him go," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. Every head turned. Marcos looked at her with amusement. "Well, this must be the famous Sophia, the waitress who thinks she's a queen. I'm the woman who's going to shoot you if you don't let him go." Marcos laughed. "You're not going to shoot anyone, sweetheart. You're shaking so hard you can barely hold that gun." He was right. She was shaking, but her aim was steady. "Sophia, get out of here," Vincent said, his voice tight with fear. "For her." "No." "Sophia." "I said no." She looked at Marcos. "You want his empire? Fine. Take it. But you let him walk out of here alive." Marcos tilted his head, studying her. "And why would I do that?" "Because I'm offering you something better than territory." Sophia took a step forward. "Information." Vincent's eyes widened. "Sophia, don't." "I know who you are, Marcos," she continued. "I know you've been under investigation by the FBI for money laundering. I know you have a federal agent on your payroll who's been feeding you information. And I know his name." The room went silent. Marcos's expression shifted. "You're bluffing." "Agent David Chun," Sophia said. "He's been taking payments from you for 2 years, routing them through an offshore account in the Caymans. Account number 847392B. Marcos's jaw tightened. Sophia had no idea if any of that was true, but she'd learned something from living with Vincent. Sometimes the lie is more powerful than the truth. "How do you know that?" Marcos demanded. "Because before I became a waitress, I was a paralegal. I worked for a federal prosecutor who made it his business to know everyone's secrets." She paused. "Including yours." It was a gamble. A desperate, insane gamble. But Marcos's expression told her it had worked. "You give me that information," he said slowly, "and I let him live?" "Yes." "Sophia, no," Vincent started. "Yes," she repeated, cutting him off. "But you let him go first, unharmed, and you leave his operations alone." Marcos considered this. Then he smiled. "Deal." He gestured to his men. "Cut him loose." They hesitated. "Do it," Marcos snapped. One of the men moved forward and cut Vincent's bonds. Vincent stood slowly, his eyes never leaving Sophia. There was fury there. Fear. Pride. "Come here," Marcos said to Sophia. She glanced at Vincent. "Don't," he said quietly. "Please." But Sophia knew this was the only way. She walked toward Marcos, her heart pounding. When she was close enough, he grabbed her arm and pulled her in front of him, pressing his gun to her temple. "Vincent," he said cheerfully, "you have 10 seconds to walk out that door before I kill her. Your choice." Vincent's face went white. You said. I lied. Marcos's smile widened. I'm keeping the girl and taking your empire. But hey, at least you'll die knowing she tried to save you. Vincent's hands clenched into fists. Sophia could see him calculating, looking for an opening, a weakness. But there wasn't one. Go, Sophia said quietly. No. Vincent, please. I'm not leaving you. Marcos pressed the gun harder against her temple. 5 seconds, Vincent. 4. 3. A gunshot rang out. But it didn't come from Marcos. Luca burst through the door, firing. 2 of Marcos's men went down immediately. The third returned fire, and the room exploded into chaos. Marcos shoved Sophia forward and raised his gun toward Vincent. But Vincent was faster. He lunged, tackling Marcos to the ground. The gun went flying. They fought, brutal, vicious, no rules, rolling across the concrete floor. Sophia scrambled for the dropped gun. Found it. Turned. Marcos had Vincent pinned, hands around his throat, squeezing. Vincent's face was turning red. Purple. Sophia raised the gun. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. Get away from him, she said. Marcos looked up, saw her, and smiled even as he continued choking Vincent. You won't. She pulled the trigger. The bullet hit Marcos in the chest. He fell backward, eyes wide with shock. Vincent gasped for air, clutching his throat. Sophia dropped the gun and ran to him, falling to her knees beside him. Are you okay? Vincent, are you okay? He nodded, still coughing, and pulled her into his arms. Behind them, Luca finished securing the area. More of Vincent's men poured in. It was over. They didn't talk about it right away. Vincent's men cleaned up the warehouse, made calls, handled the bodies. Sophia sat in the back of the car, wrapped in Vincent's coat, staring at nothing. She'd killed someone. Again. Vincent slid into the seat beside her and took her hand. Hey, he said softly. Look at me. She did. You saved my life, he said. I killed someone. You saved my life, he repeated more firmly. You're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling. Guilt, fear, regret. But don't let it consume you. He would have killed us both. Sophia's eyes filled with tears. I'm not like you. I can't just compartmentalize. Move on. I know. Vincent pulled her closer. And I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to carry what I carry. Then what do we do? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised her. We leave. Sophia blinked. What? This city. This life. We leave it behind. Vincent's voice was steady. Certain. I have money. Resources. We can go anywhere. Be anyone. Start completely over. You'd give up everything? Your empire? Your people? For you. He cupped her face gently. Without hesitation. Sophia stared at him, tears streaming down her face. But that's not what you want, is it? She whispered. Vincent's expression cracked. What I want is for you to be safe. Happy. Free of all this darkness. What if I told you I don't need to be free of it? Sophia said. What if I told you I've spent my whole life running from darkness, but maybe I'm done running. Maybe I'm ready to stand in it. With you. Sophia. I'm not saying I want to be part of your world. The violence. The crime. But I'm saying I want to be part of your life. All of it. The good. The bad. The complicated. She took his hands. I don't need you to save me, Vincent. I just need you to stand beside me. Vincent closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, they were wet. You're sure? He asked quietly. I'm sure. He kissed her then, deep and desperate and full of promises neither of them knew if they could keep. But they'd try. That was enough. Sophia stood on the balcony of their new home, a house outside the city, quiet and private, surrounded by trees, and watched the sun rise. Behind her, she heard Vincent moving around the kitchen. The sound of coffee brewing, plates clinking, small, domestic sounds that still made her smile. The restaurant was thriving. She'd opened a second location 6 months ago. Vincent had stepped back from the more dangerous aspects of his operations, delegating to trusted people, focusing on the legitimate businesses. It wasn't perfect. There were still threats, still enemies, still nights when Vincent came home with blood on his knuckles and wouldn't talk about where he'd been. But there were also mornings like this. Quiet, peaceful, theirs. Vincent joined her on the balcony, handing her a cup of coffee. You're up early, he said. Couldn't sleep. Nightmares? No. She smiled. Just thinking. About? Sophia turned to face him. About how a year ago, I was invisible. Nobody A ghost hiding in plain sight. And now I'm real. She touched his face. You made me real. Vincent caught her hand and kissed her palm. You were always real, Sophia. You just needed someone to see you. And you see me? Every day. His voice was soft. Every single day. They stood there in the sunrise, holding each other, two broken people who'd found something neither expected. Home. Safety. Love. The doorbell rang. Vincent tensed immediately, his hand moving instinctively toward where he used to keep his gun. Sophia touched his arm. It's probably just a delivery. I'll check. He disappeared inside. Sophia heard the door open. Heard voices. Then Vincent called her name. Not urgent. Not scared. Just surprised. She walked inside and froze. Standing in their doorway was a woman. Mid-50s. Kind eyes. Nervous smile. And Sophia recognized her instantly. From photographs. From stories Marcus had told years ago, back when he still pretended to be human. It was Marcus's mother. Mrs. Hale, Sophia breathed. The woman's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry to just show up like this. I know you probably never want to see anyone with this last name again. But I had to tell you something. Sophia's heart pounded. What? Mrs. Hale took a shaky breath. I know what my son did to you. I know he hurt you, terrorized you, made your life hell. And I am so sorry I didn't stop it sooner. You couldn't have. No, I could have. Tears streamed down her face. I knew what kind of man he was. I saw the signs when he was young. The anger, the need to control. And I told myself it wasn't my fault. That he'd grow out of it. But he didn't. He got worse. And I did nothing. Sophia didn't know what to say. When I heard he died, Mrs. Hale continued, my first feeling wasn't grief. It was relief. And I hated myself for it. But then I thought, maybe this is my chance. My chance to do something right. She pulled an envelope from her purse and held it out. These are the deeds to Marcus's properties. His bank accounts. Everything he owned. Legally, it should have gone to me. But I'm signing it all over to you. Every penny. Every asset. It's yours. Sophia stared at the envelope. I don't want his money. Then give it away. Donate it. Use it to help other women who've survived what you survived. I don't care. I just don't want it. Mrs. Hale's voice cracked. I don't want any reminder of what I helped create. Sophia looked at Vincent. He gave her a slight nod. Your choice. She turned back to Mrs. Hale and took the envelope. Thank you, she said quietly. For coming here. For telling the truth. Mrs. Hale let out a sob. I'm so sorry. For everything. And then she turned and walked away. Sophia stood in the doorway, holding the envelope, feeling the weight of it. Not the money. The closure. Vincent wrapped his arms around her from behind. You okay? Yeah. She leaned back against him. I think I am. That night, Sophia lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Vincent was beside her, reading, his reading glasses perched on his nose in a way that made him look younger. Almost innocent. I want to do something with the money, she said suddenly. He looked over. Okay. I want to start a foundation. For women leaving abusive relationships. Give them resources. Housing. Job training. Safety. Vincent set his book down. I think that's a good idea. You do? Yes. He pulled her closer. I think you'll save a lot of lives. Sophia smiled. Just like you saved mine. Vincent's expression softened. We saved each other. And as Sophia drifted off to sleep, safe in his arms, she realized something. She'd spent 3 years running from her past. And 1 year building her future. And finally, she was free. The foundation was a success. Sophia's safe harbor, named after the feeling Vincent had given her when she needed it most, had helped over 300 women escape dangerous situations. Sophia ran it with the same fierce determination she'd once used to survive. Vincent supported her quietly, donating money anonymously, using his connections to find women safe housing, occasionally making threats to abusive partners who wouldn't leave their victims alone. He'd never fully left his old life, but he'd learned to balance it with the new one. They got married on a Tuesday afternoon. No guests. No ceremony. Just a courthouse and 2 people who chose each other. Sophia wore a simple white dress. Vincent wore his best suit. And when the judge asked if they'd love and honor each other, they both said yes. Because they already had. Every single day. Late one night, Sophia woke to find Vincent's side of the bed empty. She found him on the balcony again, staring at the stars. Can't sleep? she asked, wrapping her arms around him from behind. Just thinking. About what? Vincent turned and pulled her in front of him, his arms wrapped around her waist, her back against his chest. About how I spent 30 years of my life thinking I was meant to be alone, he said quietly. Thinking that caring about people made you weak, made you vulnerable, made you a target. And now, he rested his chin on top of her head. Now I think maybe being vulnerable with the right person is the strongest thing you can do. Sophia smiled and laced her fingers through his. They stood there in the darkness, two survivors who'd found each other in the most unlikely way. And as the stars burned overhead and the world kept turning, they held on to each other. Not because they needed to, but because they chose to. Every single day. Would you choose love, even if it came from darkness? The end.